We've been getting a lot of questions about the vaccine requirements for state employees, school employees, and healthcare workers, and a lot of questions about the exemption process. So we set out to verify this. What are the approved exemptions when it comes to the COVID vaccine? Well, there are two exceptions to the mandate based on new rules from the Oregon Health Authority. The first, medical exemption. The second, religious exemptions. But just because you ask for one does not mean you're going to get one. So let's kind of break it down here. Let's start with medical exemptions. According to Oregon's COVID vaccination rules, a person qualifies for a medical exemption if they have a, quote, physical or mental impairment that prevents them from receiving a COVID-19 vaccination. But just saying so isn't enough. You'll need to prove it by having a medical provider sign this form explaining why you should not get the COVID vaccine. For example, someone who is allergic to components of the vaccine may qualify. But requesting an exemption again does not mean it's automatically approved. All requests will be reviewed by employers and they could be denied. Now let's look at religious exemptions because they are less clear-cut. The state of Oregon says a religious exemption can be claimed if someone has a sincerely held religious belief that prevents them from receiving a COVID-19 vaccination. In Oregon, you'll have to fill out this form describing your religious belief and how it affects your ability to receive a vaccination. We talked to Taylor Duty about this, an attorney at JJH Law who specializes in employment law. She says employers are not required to accept all religious exemption requests at face value, and they can ask additional questions.
An employer does have a right to ask some follow-up about the reasonable accommodation that the employer may be providing in order to allow that person not to get vaccinated. They do have the ability to question that person's belief system to seek additional information.
Let's use Portland Public Schools as an example. Chief Human Resources Officer Sharon Reese says the district will closely review every exemption request.
We will be reviewing that each religious exemption that is requested is based on bona fide beliefs.
Some states are asking additional questions on the request form itself. Take a look at this form from the Washington State Department of Transportation. It's based on guidance from the state's Human Resources Office. Like Oregon, employees who ask for a religious exemption will have to confirm that their religious belief prevents them from getting the vaccine. But the second question is interesting. It's more controversial. It asks employees if they have ever received a vaccine or medicine from a healthcare provider as an adult. Governor Jay Inslee's office said the religious exemption process is meant to consider appropriate details regarding how the religious belief prevents the employee from taking the vaccine. Inslee's office said the process is meant to be interactive and employees will have a chance to appeal a rejected request in many circumstances. Duty says it's vital that employers work with employees who request accommodations.
Employers need to be careful that employees coming forth with sincere, genuine trying to understand if they qualify for an exemption or a reasonable accommodation, to not retaliate against an employee coming forth in good faith.
Okay, our next question. So what happens if employees don't get the vaccine or an approved exemption by October 18th? Well, according to the rules, they could lose their jobs. Now, even those who are granted an exemption may see their job change, especially if you're interacting with patients or students on a daily basis. Employers have an obligation to prevent the spread of COVID, and that could mean reassigning someone who is unvaccinated. If you have questions about the vaccine mandate or exemptions, just let us know. Easiest way to do that, send us an email, verify@kgw.com.